Okay. I think we're recording. Oh, yeah, I think we're recording. Okay. All right. So, here to talk to us today about tedifying your talk, tedifying your story is Ann Devere. Ann, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate the invitation and had the opportunity to hear some of your introductions. Gosh, what an amazing group. I love it. And actually, my daughter and I had the opportunity last summer to um, use the Sprinter to go through Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, and I love what you're doing. I love the whole digital nomad aspect of it. As a matter of fact, I train quite a few people, some of them from Australia, to become digital nomads in Europe. So I love the combination of the RV and the stories. So one of the things that really popped out at me as we were, you know, exploring is the beauty, being able to share what we see and being on the go. So you guys have a lot of amazing stories that, I expect you're sharing. And so I'm excited to kind of get to know you better, but let's get to why Kimberly invited me to share my part with you. The background is gosh, my late husband and I used to train experts to be interviewed on TV for, gosh, almost 20 years. And it was breaking news stories and talk shows. And you only have about 3 minutes to really get in there and make the connection and deliver content that's powerful. Otherwise, you're never invited back. Well, my passion, my part is really helping people to turn their expertise into online programs and promote them with interviews. So there has to be a lot of storytelling that connects the audience with what you do, but not be salesy. So how do you do that? Well, TEDx Style Stories, which I'm not a TED Talk trainer, but what happened is a while ago, I was introduced to one of the top TED Talk trainers out of Europe. She actually trains politicians and, who's who in Europe. When I shared with her my formula for the way I was training my people to be interviewed, she said, Anne, that's a TED Talk and you're doing it in 3 minutes. Do you have any idea how hard that is? I was like, I know how hard it is, but I didn't know it was a TED Talk. But while I am not a TED Talk trainer, I can train you on creating TEDx style stories. So, you guys, all you have to do is make it a longer version of it, and you can apply for TED Talks if you want to. So, I hope you're excited. I'm excited to share with you. And yeah, I see some of you are recording, taking notes, whatever, but let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And well, before I get into it, please choose one story that you would like to share. Maybe why you do what you do, what made you want to be a digital nomad on wheels. That's that's the impression I got. So what is it about it? So you want to be able to tell that in 3 minutes, right? So I'm going to share the formula with you. And as I'm sharing, just jot down, short notes because, most of you are professionals already doing the training with your clients. So you know your story already. We're just going to tweak it a little bit, put it in the right spots, maybe move it around a bit. Who knows? Let's get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and there we go. Okay, so TEDx style stories. What makes them so powerful? We're going to cover that part of it. I already shared, and your talk structure. We're going to look at how to captivate your audience and take them onto a journey. You want them to go on a ride with you, right? Experience what you did, and what to say in the first 3 seconds to grab your viewers' attention and have them wanting more. And all of that depends on, well, let's go back over here. And so I shared some of this with you already, and access to experts is what we created. We would train experts to be interviewed on TV by taking them to, we used to train them, most of them at Channel 6 in San Diego on the news desk and also around the globe. So this is just some of the people we've trained. And my husband and I got together because he had a TV background, Emmy award-winning video editor and all the other stuff. I wanted you to see that because I wanted you to actually uh, get the power of this while I'm simplifying everything, taking the shortcut. This comes from many years, many, many years of experience and expertise. So, actually, one of my superpowers is to simplify things, break things down to their essence, and which is hard to do, but once you get it, it makes things a lot simpler. So, let's get to it. Okay, we're diving right in. The story. You want to start thinking about when was this? When, as you were creating your story, you want to just jot down a few things. When was this? Where were you? Who else was there? What happened? This is the meat of the story, but all the other things are important. How did it impact you and your life? And it could be the people in your life. What did you do about it? Something happened. You needed a solution. So you had to find a solution. What happened? And how can others benefit from your experience? That's what every story is about. Okay. Why did we need a solution and how can we pass it on to other people? Otherwise, people don't care. Otherwise, there's no point to the story. And regardless of the story, we want to make sure we squeeze out the impact it can have on other people. Okay, so with that, know that every book, every movie, every play that you've ever watched had these three components: the characters, the setting, and the plot. Okay, so we're going to show business, guys. Here we go. All right. Starting with, you know, this is part of the prep work here. When was this and where were you? So jot down, if you already have chosen your story, jot down. And then the characters, who was there. So who else was there with you? That's what we want to take a look at. But the main character is you. Okay? Main character is you. You're the problem solver. And what you want to do is start describing yourself. See yourself back then. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were you wearing? All that. How old were you? Anything that is important in the story, because as you start sharing the story, we want to see you looking that way. We want to feel what you were feeling. So it's really important for you to go back in time. Go back in time and remember where you were, what was going on, everything. And also the supporting characters. These are the other people that were there with you. Okay? Either they were helping you create the problem or they were helping you create the solution for it. Okay? So who else was there? If it was, there's usually somebody else involved. Who else was there? Who else is part of the story? And you really want to focus on the most important people that had a direct impact, because if you start sharing about too many people, it gets diluted. You want to make sure that we're focusing on you and what's most relevant. Okay? Then we go into the setting. The setting is so important. You need to describe the surrounding environment. You want to make us feel like we were there. And was it a cold, rainy night? You were driving down, this rural countryside, or were you on a freeway on a hot summer day and something happened, you had to pull over, 105 degrees in LA, whatever, so it's, you really want to go back and feel it again, because you're going to describe it. So you want to make sure we travel with you, anything that was around you. is really important. The way the moon was shining, what were you seeing? Or what was the car in front of you as you were driving? What was it doing? Zigzagging through, whatever, anything that you were seeing. Now, all of that is basically prep work, getting ready. You want to do all that before you actually start writing your story, right? Now, then we go into the story you actually want to tell, the problem. There's always a problem. Whenever we tell a story, there's always a problem. So we're going to, what happened? How did it impact you in your life? Okay. Now, why did you decide to get on the road? There was a turning point in your life. Something had happened. You just decided, okay, the kids are gone. We want to get on the road. Or I just need to travel. Whatever. Something inside told you you needed to change. And it doesn't have to be a tragedy. Okay. It just could be something subtle that comes from deep within. But you need to be able to describe it. So we also start, oh, I have that urge. I thought about doing that. I never really acted on it. Well, maybe I should. You want us to bubble up with the intention that you had to make a shift in us, right? Okay, then you go into the solution. What did you do about it? Okay, in this case, you decided you're going to buy an RV. Well, all these questions came up. Is it going to be how big is it going to be? Is it going to be a trailer? What is it going to be? You have to look at all the different budgets and all the things, the places you wanted to go to. I can tell you when we were thinking about renting our little getaway, I knew it was not going to be anything big because I wasn't going to drive it. So the Sprinter was the perfect solution for us. But the problem was, then there were so many different things to look at. And the main point of it is that we wanted to get out there and experience a special time. I want to experience a special time with my daughter. She's 27 years old. Her life is getting really busy. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time with her, you know. So what happens? Here, honey, we're going on vacation. The story could be as simple as that. Okay? So what is your story and how is it impacting your life? What did you do about it? And how did you find the solution? Where did you look? Who did you talk to? Where did you do your research? This is really important because as you are sharing this story, you are walking people through a problem that they also have, and you're telling them how to find the solution. That means you have the solution. You have the information. You want us to know that you did due diligence. You have the answers, and you're going to save me a lot of time, in finding the answer. So what did you do? And you want to make it as simple as possible and just a little bit of complication. So they're like, I don't want to go do all that. They have the solution. He has the solution. She has the solution. I'm going to call them. But you need to give them enough information to know that you have the information. This is a really important part of it. Describe the moment you found the solution. Okay? How did you feel when you said, oh, this is it, I got it? Because we also want to feel that way. You want us to feel like you have what we've been looking for. Oh my God, I don't have to go look at 50 million YouTube videos anymore. He's got all the things I'm looking for. She's got all the things I'm looking for. Okay? The results. What were the results that you got? And how can others benefit from your experience? So, because you did all that you did, because you found the solution, now you are living a life of what? What is your day like? What do you have? You want to bring us back to how you felt in the beginning and how you feel now because you have the solution. Okay. Now, I don't know, you and your family are on the road and you're able to go wherever you want to go. You don't have the big mortgages because your RV is easy to pay for. I don't know, whatever your solution is. And you feel free. You don't have to make all these extravagant plans to go places. You're not sitting in your easy chair at home saying, I wish I could see, the Grand Canyon. Yeah, you're at the Grand Canyon in your home. Your home goes with you. So whatever you guys want to do, this is, and again, it really doesn't make a difference. I train experts in uh, that money, health, relationships, spirituality. They're, speakers, authors, coaches, consultants. And as you can tell, we have a lot of stories coming from all different aspects of our lives. And this formula fits every single story. This you can actually use when you're talking with family members. You can use this when you're interacting with friends. Sometimes we see people who are really fun to listen to. What makes them fun? This is the formula. Some people they share a story. They bore us because we don't get it. We don't get why they're so excited about it. Well, you need to get excited before you even tell the story, so they're excited with you because you're taking them on a journey. Okay? And some of it has to do with this. This is super, super, super important. You got to name your emotions. Okay? Angry. While we may not really know what you are really angry about, we know what anger feels like. Afraid, worried, hopeless, guilty, lonely, now ashamed, resentful. You guys notice these are all negative emotions? Okay? Negative emotions are the ones that usually get us into action. They're the ones who make us want to change. So you need to make sure as you are going in time, back in time, you're naming where you were, what you were feeling. I was so lonely. I was so afraid. I was afraid on that lonely road. The car was, acting up, or the RV was whatever. I felt guilty because I didn't do all this stuff, and it was killing me. Okay. So but then you need to also identify the happy. And I will tell you, the negative emotions will catapult us. You can still use the negative emotions. So, even when after you have found, I was so happy to find a solution. So I never want to be lonely again. I never want to feel afraid. Of course, you're going to feel afraid. Whatever. Use it, and excited. I was so excited to find a solution. I'm proud to have done this. I am proud that I did whatever. I helped these people. Nervous, confused, frustrated, trapped. So you can mix, add your own, by the way. You will have a whole bunch of them. These are the ones I could just fit in here. So just the more you think about it, and by the way, this is really important. Every time you tell the story, you will discover a different way of telling it. You will discover a new word that just pops up. And what's going to happen is you're going to remember something you hadn't remembered the time before, a little detail. The mind, the way our brain works is it's amazing because it stores everything. But when we start digging in, we start remembering things. And so the story that you're telling is going to feel new to you all the time. The main reason for that is that when you start going back and remembering things, the passion that you had for wanting to make that change is going to be ignited. And the passion that you build for helping other people, for me, when I see the look in people's eyes, it just they just light up when they have this. Oh yeah, I can do this. I always wanted to, you know, to do whatever they wanted to be. I just didn't think I could make money. And they're like, yeah, here's the formula. And they're like, really? I can do this? I help people with their side hustles, whether they want to, have a full-on business, online, or they want to travel the globe. Like I decided I wanted to go traveling. Well, I've been to 27 different countries. It costs a lot of money to go to 27 different countries. But guess what I did? I set up and I would go train people and then take a week and explore the country. So that was my thing that I wanted to do. I love to travel globally. Now, so what is it that you love to do? How have you found a solution? And as a matter of fact, because of the way I did it, that's how I got a lot of digital nomads to be excited about going places. One of them said, I want to go to Europe. I said, what's stopping you? And next thing I know, she's in Europe for 6 months, making money, while doing the thing she wants. So bottom line is whatever it is that you do, whatever has ignited your passion, you go in there, you dig into it, you connect the emotions to it, get the story. And again, it's going to feel new every time because when you tap into your passion, there's that fire in the belly that gets going and it's contagious. It lights people up. And that's how we help people with the things we love to do. So the bottom line is get out of your head and get into your heart. Whenever you're sharing your stories, ground yourself. Take a deep breath, calm your nerves, whatever you need to, especially if you're in front of a live audience in person. Big audience, you can get a little bit nervous. A lot of people do. Or just being online. You're being online. So get present and empathize. You're speaking with someone who needs your message. So get out of yourself. Get into the person you're helping. And here's the other thing to remember, whether it's 1,000 people in front of you or 10 people or one, it's always a one-on-one conversation. Because even if you have 1,000 people in front of you, communication. They are taking what you're saying and connecting it to their unique experiences, to their unique needs. So never make the mistakes that you're talking to a whole bunch of people. It's always a one-on-one conversation. So be you, be natural, be be confident in what you are sharing. You don't have to be polished. You just have to be authentic. That's the most important thing that I can tell you. Be you, share the story, be your intent should be to help somebody. As the old saying goes, you can have anything you want if you help enough people get what they want. And that's how I like to do things. So be authentic and vulnerable. Vulnerability builds trust. Okay. Let yourself feel your real emotions. And I can tell you when you know, we do a show host mastery, like 7-day immersives, I'm sharing, I go into stuff, right? You share your emotions. It gives other people to do the same thing. And I I can't tell you how many people I have seen cry and release what's in there. And, if you give yourself permission to be really authentic, be vulnerable, I'm not saying go around crying everywhere, but what I'm saying is that just be, feel, share what you're feeling, especially the negative feelings, because we're taught to protect ourselves. We're taught, boys don't cry, girls don't, whatever, we're not going into that detail with that. We're taught to just put up a front. And guess what? That divides us. So when you start sharing your authentic feelings, it combines us, it connects us. It's like, oh, me too. I know what that feels like. Oh, yeah, yeah, I was ashamed. I was angry. Yeah. Okay. So let your emotions guide your words. The other thing is slow down and speak with intention, right? Sometimes you need to speak fast because something is happening. You're nervous, you're going fast. But as you can, allow yourself to slow down. It it gives the person who's listening a chance to let your words land, for them to actually feel. If you're going too fast, if you're jumping from one thing to another, you're not digging in deep within yourself, there is going to be surface stuff for them too. You're the leader. You're the guide. Where are you taking people? Guess what? Think about the leader. Whenever we choose to follow somebody, we do what they do. So what do you want people to do? How do you want them to feel? That's the question you have to ask and answer even before you write your story. I think that yep, that's all I prepared for you guys. So I'm going to stop sharing. And do we have any questions or anything? And I don't know. Kimberly, back to you.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of information. I took pages of notes. I'd love to open it up and see if anybody has questions, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to.